Podcast Answer Man, episode number 306.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference. This is GSPN.TV. Join the community.
Hi, everyone. This is John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire. And if you're looking to ignite the podcasting world, then you're in the right place. For Cliff Ravenscraft is the Podcast Answer Man.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this, my friends, is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your podcasting efforts, your new business efforts, online efforts, everything we do to the next level. Doesn't matter if you're brand new to this, been doing it for many years, or you're just getting started. There's something we can all do to take everything we do to the next level. You know, I love starting out my show and actually doing a live read over top of my music because I have that ability to be flexible and spontaneous at times. Although I'm a huge fan of my good friends over at Music Radio Creative who do special audio branding packages. Of course, I'll talk a little bit about that and how I actually have a brand new audio intro for another podcast that I do. Actually, I'm going to share that next week. So if you want to hear it, I'll share it next week in episode number 307, a special episode for you. Anyway, today, what am I going to be talking about? I've got a special. Everything's special. If it wasn't special, I wouldn't be bringing it to you because it's all about creating for you guys content that you can't live without. So everything's special. Why don't I just stop saying the word special? Anyway, we do have a personal plug of the week for you this week. I'm going to give you some great updates on New Media Expo coming up. Also, why I changed my iTunes category and the results since. I'm also going to talk about being more creative with the name of your podcast in iTunes and how to do that. And I will also be sharing with you a social media segment. My good friend Eric J. Fisher and I are going to be talking about adding video and images to your LinkedIn profile and how that can benefit you. Anyway, all of that and potentially more in this episode. Let's get things kicked off, though, by sharing with you my personal plug of the week. This week, I received an email from a guy who goes by the name L.A., and he sent me an email saying, "Hey, Cliff, I just want to let you know I used your free tutorials and information on your website to launch my own podcast, and I can't thank you enough for all this valuable information." He said he wanted me to know that he just released a brand new podcast out to the world called Disability Talk. And he mentioned that he is a quadriplegic and decided that he wanted to get his message of hope and encouragement to those who are disabled, that you know there is that life is worth living even with some of the most dire of circumstances that come up in our lives. And I was just so inspired by his email. He, of course, sent me a link to his first episode, and I went and checked it out. And I was impressed on many levels. Number one, the thing that's most important to me is the message that this man has. L.A. shared his story about how he broke his neck at the age of the age of 16. How he kept from being depressed about life. He talked about his desire to learn how to drive again. He talked about getting a degree and finding a career, and he has just an overall very inspirational, encouraging attitude. And you can't listen to this podcast and not want to tell other people about it. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. I am telling you to check out the Disability Talk podcast from LA. And you know what? Here's another thing that impresses me, and this is going to be very beneficial for those of you who are thinking about launching a podcast and wondering whether or not you can afford it. His first episode, completely 100% recorded using nothing more than the iTalk application for the iPhone. That's it. The iTalk application, I think they have a free version still. If not, the $1.99 version without ads is worth paying for. And I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second. I'll pull up his audio and let you hear what it sounds like. Okay, I have it all queued up here. Here is LA to introduce his show. I'll just play maybe about 20 seconds or so.
Hey, this is LA. Welcome to my first podcast. This is Disability Talk, and I wanted to start off first talking about my life experience. I am a quadriplegic. I broke my neck when I was 16 from a car wreck. I broke my neck at C5, C6, and it was a fusion. I was chasing somebody late at night, and they was going down a gravel road. They made the curve, and I didn't. They went around the curve, and I just went straight towards the ditch, didn't see the ditch, and flew up in the air and came back on my top, and that's how I broke my neck. I can remember a few things. I remember waking up in the hospital, and I saw this nurse, and I said to her,
and I'm going to stop right there because now you have to go and check out Disability Talk episode number 1. You can find his podcast real easily. I actually went ahead and created an easier link than trying to remember the name of his website, but it's just go over to gspn.tv. That stands for Generally Speaking Production Network. gspn.tv/disability. All right. Again, gspn.tv/disability. And that will take you right to the iTunes listing for his podcast. I encourage you to check out episode number 1 and hear what he said to the nurse as soon as he woke up, and also the rest of his encouraging and very inspirational story. And make sure that if you check out his podcast, you let him know you heard about him from the podcast Answer Man. And be sure to give him a rating and review in iTunes as well. And if you know anybody else that's disabled, be sure to pass it along. I think that he has a wonderful message that is going to be awesome. All right, next thing I want to share with you, by the way, that is my personal plug of the week, and the next thing I do want to share with you are some updates related to the next New Media Expo event. Many of you listening to my voice, we all hung out in Las Vegas this past January. It was an awesome time. If you go to facebook.com/Cliff Ravenscraft, you look at the header or the cover artwork on my Facebook profile. Again, that's facebook.com/Cliff Ravenscraft. You see the picture up there. That's 27 people that I got to hang out with from my podcast mastermind organization and other members of my community. All of them hanging out in my suite in Las Vegas. We had the most awesome evening that time. I'll tell you what, everybody who was there last time said they're coming back this year. And I can't even begin to tell you the number of people who said, oh my gosh, after hearing everybody after they've come back, I'm definitely there next year. So it's going to be even bigger. It's going to be awesomer. That is not even a word, I understand, but that's exactly what it's going to be. This year, actually, I should say next year, it is actually going to be January 4th through the 6th. And actually, CES in 2014 starts on January 7th. So this year, this next event, there will not be an overlap. In 2013, just a couple months ago when we did New Media Expo, the last day of the New Media Expo was same as the first day of CES. And they wanted to make sure that overlap didn't happen as a result of many requests from so many participants. And so next year, you'll go 4th, 5th, and 6th at New Media Expo. And if you want to stay for CES next year, you can do so. I've determined next year I am not staying for CES. If anybody's interested in knowing that, and if you're making plans, I did enjoy my time at CES. And certainly got a lot of steps in. That was awesome. Great physical activity. But I saw as much as I needed to see of CES. And since I'm not really podcasting about the kind of stuff that they have there, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go and see it all again. But I will be showing up there for New Media Expo. I will be there January 4th through the 6th. And I will be putting together an awesome podcasting track for you guys. If you want to send me an email with a suggestion of a talk that you would love to have at New Media Expo that you've never seen on the list before, or you just have an idea of a talk that you would love to have, you think it would be great to have somebody speak about a topic. Not necessarily. Do not send me an email if you're thinking that you want to talk. I'm going to tell you what you can do about that in just a moment. But if you are not looking to actually speak yourself, but you have an idea of a great session, if somebody else was qualified to teach it or to lead it, a great session you would love to have if you were to come out to Las Vegas, please send me an email, cliff@podcastanswerman.com, and then just put suggested session in the subject line, and I will get that and see if I can make it a reality. I can't promise, but I will do what I can to make sure that we have the best sessions that are possible for our podcasting track this year. Now, if you are interested in submitting a session and you want to speak in that session, whether it's a solo session or a panel session you want to put together, I'm happy to tell you that the speaker submission form is open. And I actually created an easy link for you to get to. Just go to podcastanswerman.com/speaknmx. Again, that's podcastanswerman.com/speaknmx. And that will get you right over to the form where you can submit your own session. And you can tell me about what session it is, the title, the description, the takeaways, all of that stuff, whether you're doing a solo panel. Would love to consider your session for potentially adding it to the podcasting track. Now, the deadline for submitting a session at that link is September 2nd, but I'm going to tell you right now, by September 2nd, I hope to actually have pretty much everything all in order. In fact, I may even start that as early as June. So I'm going to be taking all those submissions. Basically, the sooner you get your submission in, the more likely you are to potentially be added to the list. All right. And by the way, let me just say this for the record. For those of you who are out there, even if we're very close personal friends, even if you've been listening to me for years, even no matter what, please understand, I cannot promise everybody out there a session. I think last year I had 18 sessions plus a keynote address and 2 super sessions that I filled, and that's it. So obviously I can't give all 100 people who definitely who are my friends who want to speak there. I can't give you all a spot in the thing, and I have to make room for other people as well. So I am literally basing who will speak and what sessions get put on. Not necessarily based upon relationship at all, but really what makes the most sense to have the greatest content at this event and the greatest people who have the greatest ability to speak at this event and bring energy and life to this event in a wonderful way. So this is going to be an amazing podcasting track, and I do hope to see many of you guys out there submit those sessions. And by the way, last year, I think there was over 80 submissions. So get those submissions in ASAP. podcastanswerman.com/speaknmx. All right, the podcast report, real quickly, is the podcast that I do for the podcasting track of New Media Expo. And I want to let you know we've settled on a new schedule for the podcast report this year. That is going to actually start back up in September, and it will be recorded on the 1st, there will be an episode on the 1st and the 15th of each month, September, October, November, and December. And then, of course, there'll be one on the 1st of January, and I will record a wrap-up episode from the event itself. So that if you guys are interested in that, you can go find that in iTunes. Just go and do a search for the podcast report, or actually just do a search for podcast report, and you will find that in there. And then let's see here. Hotel reservations for New Media Expo. I know a lot of you are planning on going, and you want to know how soon can we get our hotel reservations taken care of. I don't know. I don't have the confirmation yet, but last year's pricing that they worked out was $99 a night. I would imagine it's going to be the same or right around there. But anyway, they are hoping to have the hotel reservation system up by the end of June. So you can go ahead and book your airline tickets, get that stuff all settled and taken care of, so you can get the best price available, get as many non-stop flights if you can, and hold off on your hotel reservation until the end of June or the beginning of July, and you'll be able to go in and get that special rate that New Media Expo has. Then, as far as those of you who want to get your pass for the event, The current rate for the Content Creator Pass is $397. It's a very good bargain, I believe, for the content and the community and networking ability that you'll have at this event. The price of $397 is good through June or up to June 21st. Now, on June 21st, the price does increase, so I certainly do encourage you to get in there at the $397 rate. Now, for those of you who are interested in promoting New Media Expo to your community and asking them to come and join you, and you want to make some commissions off of that, the affiliate program for New Media Expo will be up by the end of May. Or should be up by the end of May. So I'll keep you guys posted on all of those details as they come available about the hotel reservations when the affiliate program comes out. And I'll keep reminding you that you can get a current Content Creator Pass for $397. Now, for those of you who have this question, that if you're going to be coming to New Media Expo, you go ahead and sign up and you pay the $397 for the Content Creator Pass before June 21st. And then all of a sudden you're approved to speak at the conference. Now, one of the things that speakers, or actually the one thing that speakers do get if they are approved for speaking at the event, is that they actually get a free conference pass, a full conference pass. And if you have already paid for your Content Creator Pass and then you are approved to speak in a solo or panel session on the podcasting track, I will tell you that they will refund you the cost of your registration. So I did want to make you aware of that as well. So there you go. Those are the details on New Media Expo. I look forward to seeing most of you. That would be awesome. If we could just get about maybe 4,000 members from the Podcast Answer Man community, that would be awesome. I hope that we'll actually have several thousand podcasters there from the overall podcasting community. And if you know ways that I can get the word out to other podcasters in other niche fields, please feel free to send me an email, cliff@podcastanswerman.com. We need to get the word out, and it's going to be an awesome time. There's no doubt about that. All right, next thing I want to tell you about is I just, this past week, changed my iTunes category. You see, I have been running number one in iTunes for the category that I've been in since 2006, for quite some time. If you go into podcasts and you look in the category for technology, now I wasn't number one there, but in the subcategory of technology, they have a subcategory for podcasting. Now, this is a podcast about podcasting, and so therefore, that's where my podcast was listed as my primary category. And again, like I said, I was hitting number one there pretty consistently. And the one thing that I noticed, though, is I've got all of these friends of mine and all of these clients of mine and all of these students of mine from my Podcasting A to Z course. And I look into the business category and I see Michael Hyatt and Michael Stelzner, and I see Dan Miller, and I see Eric Fisher and David Solar, and just the list goes, Amy Porterfield, the list goes on and on and on. John Dumas, I could keep going. And all of these folks are, these are people who are in my circles. These are people that I do life with on a regular basis. And the one thing that I notice is they all have one thing in common. They're all in the top 100 or so of podcasts in the business, overall business. And they're all also most all of them share the subcategory of management and marketing. And I got to thinking, it's like, all of this stuff, I know that my podcast has a pretty decent weight to it when it comes to its ranking in iTunes and stuff like that. And I really don't feel like I get a lot of exposure in podcasting. And so I made the decision that I wanted to be with my friends. So I went into my iTunes settings for category, and I did this in my FeedBurner account because I am currently still using FeedBurner, and I still am recommending FeedBurner until I have reasons not to. But anyway, I went into my settings inside of FeedBurner, and I changed my category from technology with a subcategory of podcasting over to the main category of business with a subcategory of management and marketing. And automatically, I saw myself, well, actually, it took about 24 to 48 hours. And then within a couple hours or within the next day, I saw myself starting to show up in the list. Originally, at one point during the day, I was at 43. Another part of the day, I was at, 67. Another part of the day, I actually made it up to 29th. So I was actually in the top 30 of all business podcasts. And right up there with my friends, right where I should be, and I enjoy the additional exposure as a result of that. And I have noticed that I am getting increased exposure as a result of getting into a category that more people are actively looking into as far as the rankings to find out what other shows they might be interested in listening to. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I wanted to let you know that that is a decision that I made, and why I made that decision. I do believe that Podcast Answer Man is certainly focused on business. I talk about business as much as I do talk about podcasting here. I often talk about my own business, but it's my hope. And by the way, I did actually look at an iTunes review, and thank you so much for all of you who are out there giving me 5-star ratings because you love the show and taking just a few moments to write a review for the podcast here. It really means a lot to me that you do that, and I do read those. And I did see one person gave me, I think it was a 4-star review, and said a couple really great things. And if you click the more button, it says, but he talks a lot about his own business and blah, 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 and does this, and he talks about his products, and he talks about his service, and he talks about this, and he talks about that. And I totally get where that could be, a downside, as if, which is exactly what this says. He says, if you can get over all of that, then this is a podcast that you must subscribe to. You'll get a lot of valuable information. So I appreciate that very thorough and very honest review of the podcast. But I just wanted to say real quickly, yes, I do promote my products and my services quite a bit in Podcast Answer Man. And sometimes I actually get a little self-conscious about how much I do of self-promotion. I try to do most of it at the end of the show. I'm not always successful. Sometimes I get really excited about something and I share it at the front of the show. And I will say, and the person even says, yes, I know this is how Cliff makes his money. This is how he supports his family. This is his business. But even that, I don't actually want my podcast to just be a commercial for who I am and what I do. I do want it to have value. I want it to be a source of entertainment. I want it to be a source of education. But at the same time, I also want it to be a source of encouragement and inspiration. So, admittedly, I share with you stuff about my podcasting A to Z course, my podcast mastermind, because yes, those do very much generate revenue for me. And I will continue to do it, admittedly, with that as a significant motivating factor. And I will even say that as a business, it is my number one motivating factor. But it's not my only motivating factor. I want to say to you that I share this stuff also in hopes that it will encourage and inspire you about what's possible for you to do. So when I actually talk about creating a 4-week course, and I talk about the amount of money that I charge for this course, it's my hope that it will, instead of getting you upset about the fact that, gosh, he's going on and on about this course, I hope that it will be a source of encouragement and inspiration to you that I have effectively sold that course out every single time. And, with 20 and at least 20 students each time, and as many as 36 students, which I'll never do again. But the fact is that these people pay for this course. They love this course. I get wonderful testimonials for it. And guess what? You could potentially create a 4-week course where somebody would pay up to $2,000 for your information. Now, does that happen overnight? No. But if you have listened to Podcast Answer Man for a length of time, you know that I've built this up over time, and you can as well. So when I talk about, going on a cruise with my community, I hope that it will encourage you and inspire you to take your meetups to the next level. The things that are possible for you. These are things that, gosh, if you would have told me back in 2006 when I launched this show, that that I would actually be doing 4-week courses where people pay this amount, and where I would be going on cruises with my community, and where I would have all of these speaking engagements. I wouldn't have even thought it was possible, but I knew these things have come a part of the things that I do, because I was encouraged and inspired by people like Michael Hyatt, Dan Miller, Pat Flynn, and all these other mentors of mine that I've seen them pull these things off. And before, I used to think, well, that's just because they're special. They have something that, that's just unique about them that attracts everyone. And then what I did is I learned over time that these guys are normal guys just like me and you. And through conversations with them, I realized that, they're telling me, Cliff, you could do this too. And that's what I hope that you'll see as possible. That's why I share. It's another motivating factor. So yes, I do a lot of what I do and talk a lot about my products and service as a result of the monetary motivations. But I also do it because I want to be a source of encouragement to you that, hey, big things are possible. And I want to inspire your mind to think creatively about different ways that you can actually take your business efforts to the next level. So anyway, shared all of that, and just want to say thank you to those of you who left ratings and reviews in iTunes, and that is why I changed my iTunes category, and it's worked out well for me. All right. I do want to share with you one other tip here while we're talking about iTunes and stuff like that. If you haven't thought of it this way, I want you to think about iTunes as being the search engine for audio content. All right. Basically you have Google is primarily the search engine of the web. Yeah, I'm sure that some people are using Bing. I know some people probably still use Yahoo. Maybe, I don't know, do they still have that MSN stuff? I don't know. Actually, I think that's probably all Bing now. But anyway, do they still use InfoSeek? I remember being a big InfoSeek guy. They might even still have Ask Jeeves, but you know what I mean. Google is the default standard for searching the web. And then, of course, if you want to search video content, the number 2 search engine of the world, of course, is YouTube. And I search YouTube a lot for information that I'm looking for. And if you're looking for audio content for passions that you have, or for information that you're looking for, iTunes is a wonderful search engine. So if you go in and go to the iTunes store, and up in the top right-hand corner in your iTunes store, there should be a little search box. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to search for the term internet marketing. All right. And you could do this, by the way, you can pause for just a moment, go ahead and load up your iTunes store and come back and hit play. And the one thing I want to tell you is that if you do a search for internet marketing, you look at it, it'll pull up podcasts at the top. And if you look at the list of podcasts there, you might have to scroll over to the right depending on what time of the day it is and stuff like that. But Podcast Answer Man certainly pulled up. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a search for online marketing. All right. So I just did a search for online marketing, and even closer to the left is Podcast Answer Man. Matter of fact, let me just show you what pulls up for online marketing in the order that they're listed. My great friend, Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. You got internet marketing is the second one. Amy Porterfield, she's a Podcasting A to Z graduate. Online Marketing Made Easier is her podcast. Then there's the Creativity Top 5, the Foolish Adventure Show, and then there is me, Podcast Answer Man. So that is under online marketing. So real quickly here, so far I've done internet marketing, I've done online marketing, and what if I did a search for social media marketing? All right, I'm going to do a search for social media marketing. Number 1 is my good friend Michael Stelzner with his social media marketing podcast with Michael Stelzner. Number 2 is my good friend Amy Porterfield, Online Marketing Made Easy. Then the next one is the HubSpot Presents Inbound Now with David Wells. And number 4 is Podcast Answer Man. So you can see I'm pulling up in a lot of different search results. And this is why. What I want you to do is in any of those search results, find Podcast Answer Man. And then what I want you to do is click on it, and I want you to see my iTunes listing and look at the name of my show. The name of my show is Podcast Space Answer Man Space, and then I put what's called a pipe in there, which is a straight up and down line. All right. And then I put some spaces, and then I put podcast and internet/online/social media marketing hyphen Cliff J. Ravenscraft, and then a space. And then I have Podcast Answer Man as one word. And then I have Answer Man as one word. And that way, all of those things, and I used as many characters as you can possibly use without it getting cut off in my title. So I don't know what the exact character number count is, but you can count however many characters are in the title that I have there, and you'll know that you can at least do that much. And so what I want to encourage you to do is be creative with the title of your show. Make sure that you're not spamming keywords that don't belong to you, all right? When I look at my title, Podcast Answer Man, am I into podcasting? Yes. Do I talk about internet marketing? Yes. Do I talk about online marketing? Yes. Do I talk about social media marketing? Yes. All of those are very clear representations of the content that is found in my show. And I believe that I have every right to show up in those search results when people do searches for those keywords. So I wanted to encourage you to go into your settings where you have your iTunes name for your podcast and make it more than just the name of your show. You know, and by the way, I used to have just Podcast Answer Man hyphen Cliff J. Ravenscraft. And before that, I just used to have Podcast Answer Man, a podcast about podcasting. Now it's very strategic. Podcast Answer Man, podcast and internet, online, social media marketing, Cliff J. Ravenscraft, and then Podcast Answer Man, one word, and Answer Man. Now, if you are using FeedBurner like me, then you can change the name of your podcast just by going to feedburner.com. All right, go to feedburner.com, click on the link to your podcast feed, go to Optimize tab, and then on the left-hand side, you want to click on Title/Description Burner. And where it says the new title field, you can go ahead and put your entire well thought out, very strategic title right there in that field. And where it says new description below it, I just leave it blank, click save or activate, and you are set. Give it about 24 to 48 hours to start showing up with the new name. And you may want to give it about a week before you see it start showing up in the search results as the new name. Now, could it happen within a couple hours? Yes. But just know that it doesn't happen right away because iTunes does do some caching of some of its information. All right. So hopefully that tip is very helpful to you. It will help you get your content seen by more people. That is for sure. All right, my friends, it is that time once again. Our social media correspondent, Eric J. Fisher, has been standing by to talk about this week's social media segment. We're going to be covering what this week, Eric?
LinkedIn. They came up with an update.
Wait a second. We don't talk about LinkedIn on Podcast Answer Man, do we?
Well, it's been months. The last time we did that was when you could do all the recommendation things.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about that. Okay. You know, I think LinkedIn is a very valuable tool, especially for those of us who have businesses. There's a lot of great business connections, and we did a social media serenity podcast episode a long time ago about LinkedIn. And
I would dare to say that, honestly, you should probably link to that in the show notes because that was an amazing episode where we talked only about LinkedIn, and we even had Justin Lucas Savage on. And I think that content is still what marketers call evergreen.
I like evergreen content. That's exactly what I'll do. This is podcastanswerman.com/306, where you'll find the show notes. And if you go to podcastanswerman.com/306, you will find a link to that very special episode of Social Media Serenity, a podcast that Eric and I used to do together eons ago. But it's all good stuff. So, Eric, you sent me a link last night to an article on, I think, Mashable?
Yes.
About this new LinkedIn deal. Tell me all about it.
All right. Well, ultimately, what this comes down to is LinkedIn now will let you illustrate your talents with pics and video. What this means is that when you go in, and I did check on my own profile this morning, that if you go to your positions in your LinkedIn profile, it says, get discovered for your work, add your videos, images, documents, ... And then it has a little arrow, and you can then either put in a URL or click upload file and find the file. So what this does is it makes your LinkedIn profile media rich.
It does. And, I'd not heard about this until you sent me that article last night. And if you go to gspn.tv/LinkedIn, all one word there, gspn.tv/LinkedIn, it'll take you to my LinkedIn profile. And when you get to my LinkedIn profile, then you have to click a button to see the full profile. I don't know why they don't just take you to the full profile, but anyway, it is what it is. But if you look at my summary, it's got a little bit of a text summary that I have right underneath my endorsed skills. And inside of my summary, I uploaded a nice photo of me public speaking at the platform conference. And if you click on that, it actually says, I enjoy sharing my message with folks through public speaking. This photo is from my talk at Michael Hyatt's platform conference. And it's actually my favorite photo of myself in a business setting. So that is really cool. I also have a thing where it says how my podcasting journey began. And if you click on that, it actually brings you, it says here, this is a talk that I gave at Blog World New Media Expo NYC 2011. The title of my session was The GSPN Story, Building a Community That Pays the Bills. And then it's got a little bit more information there, but you click play and it's a 1-hour talk on how I went from hobby to full-time career. Then below that, I have a little I have a big photo that is. It says it's all about the relationships, and it's the 27 people who came to Vegas to meet with me and hang out at New Media Expo. And these are the folks who were a part of my meetup up in my suite. And so that's there, and adds a lot of social proof. And then, of course, I also went ahead and added an interview with Leo Laporte, the power of podcasting. And so it's got a YouTube video of my interview with Leo. So basically what I did is I uploaded the 2 photos, which, by the way, you can, if you have the photos uploaded somewhere else on the web, let's say inside of your WordPress installation on your hosted account, you can just put the link to the JPEG image and it will pull it in. And the videos, the way that I got those in is putting a link to the YouTube page. And of course, it pulls the videos right in. I am very excited about this.
I am extremely excited about this. This is something that honestly, until I realized that it was missing, didn't know it was missing. But it is a huge deal, especially for people like us, especially for podcasters and other, social media and video and photography. I mean, media is so much a part of, a lot of the people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. And so it just makes sense to let those people showcase their talents right there with that medium. I mean, text doesn't always do the job. And let alone the fact that people that do other things like text specific writing and authoring and all that, they can put, the cover to their book and different things like that, and meetups like you've done. I mean, it's just, it really adds another level. And it takes LinkedIn to another level.
It takes your LinkedIn profile to the next level. I love it.
Yes.
So this is very cool. So here's the deal. One of the things that I read, it's actually available to all English-speaking countries. And so it's not necessarily in some of the other languages yet in other countries. But here's what you do. You sign into your LinkedIn account, and you go to your profile, and then you're going to go ahead and click the edit button. Now you will actually see at the bottom of different sections of your profile. You have your summary section, you have your experience section, and then you have your education section and additional info section. Now, here's the deal. You can actually add media, such as pictures and videos and stuff like this, to the individual section. So, for example, I went ahead and uploaded the 4 things that I've mentioned already into my summary section. So basically, my profile, first of all, shows my most recent activity logged on LinkedIn, my status updates. Then I actually have it show my background, which actually starts with my skills and experience, and which is basically, it's those endorsed things, which I only allow my LinkedIn profile to show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my endorsed things. It's the 6 things that I actually want to be known for. I'm actually endorsed for a lot of other things, but I actually have podcasting, social media, social networking, public speaking, community building, and social media marketing. And what's cool is I finally, actually, the first 5 all have 99 plus,
right?
99 or more endorsements, and social media marketing is only 6 away from getting to 99 plus. So
yeah, I need to add one more because I didn't realize I only had 5, and I have one of them that's at 99 plus for social media, ironically, and then the rest of them, podcasting, public speaking, branding and identity, and personal productivity, are all lower. I need some people to go do me some endorsements there.
There you go. So go do him some endorsements.
And actually, if you don't understand what we're talking about with this is actually the topic of our last podcast, Answer Man LinkedIn social media segment, which we should probably link to in this show notes for this show as well.
Well, now that you put that one out there, Eric, you're going to have to dig up and find out what episode that was so I can put it in the show notes.
Don't worry, I've already got it.
I love it. You're awesome, dude. All right. So he'll send that over to me. I'll make sure that goes into the show notes at podcastanswerman.com/306. Real quickly, I want to say you can go in and you can put a bunch of media, videos, pictures in your summary. You can put it down for your experience as your different jobs and stuff like that, or in your experience area. The other thing is once you've actually added a file, and you've either added a link or uploaded a file to a specific area, it would appear that you no longer have the ability to add more media, rich media content. But that's not the truth. In fact, what you'll do is once you've already uploaded something, those links will disappear. But there are two little icons up there at the top of each section. It's got a little pencil, which is, of course, where you can edit the information there. But then there's a little square with the plus. And if you hover over that, you'll get the option to upload an additional file or an additional link. But I really like this. I think LinkedIn is very cool because I do get notifications quite often where it tells me the number of people who are viewing my profile. And so my profile does get viewed quite often by many people. And, now I feel even more confident that they're getting a valuable clue as to who I am, what I stand for, and the type of quality of content that I create just by a quick glance, maybe even spending, 2 to 4 minutes on my LinkedIn page. And I can actually see where somebody might even spend an hour and a half on my LinkedIn profile now. Just simply by, clicking the little video and watching my 1 hour talk, maybe watching the whole interview with Leo Laporte. And so, pretty exciting stuff.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Of course, we want to make sure that we let people know how they can find you and all the other stuff that you're working on. So where would you like to send people today?
Sure. Well, again, check out the podcast at beyondthetodolist.com. Got some great episodes coming up and great episodes out there. We're at 30 episodes. That's a milestone, I think, in my mind.
That is awesome.
And Twitter.com/Eric with a K, the letter J, FISHER. And LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn and find me. I'm there.
And Eric's going to send me over his direct link to his profile. I'll put that in the show notes over at podcastanswerman.com/306 as well. Eric, thanks a lot, my friend.
You're welcome. See you later.
Well, my friends, that is going to wrap it up for another episode of Podcast Answer Man. Thank you for tuning in all the way through to the end of each of these episodes. I absolutely love you guys. I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me. Hey, of course, this is the end of the show where I do a lot of promotion of the other products and services that I have. Real quickly, I want to let you know the next Podcasting A to Z course is coming up on Monday, May 20th. That's right, my friends. There is less than 20 days from the day I'm recording this, and I have 6 spots already filled, which means there are 14 spots left open. Now, I would love for you to be one of the next 14 students that gets signed up and makes it into this course. Now, I am offering an early bird, or like how I say that, early bird discount for those of you who will sign up before May 13th. I am offering a $500 discount off the course. But you have to sign up before May 13th using the discount code EARLY500 or EARLY500 in the discount code section of the shopping cart. Anyway, my friends, it is going to be an awesome Podcasting A to Z experience. I have special plans for a brand new tutorial that I either will have created prior to the Podcasting A to Z session, or I will be creating it during that session. It is my special, everything's special, isn't it? It is my special digital training tutorial on how to do Skype interviews, Skype co-hosting, telephone interviews, and more. All of that in one tutorial. It's probably going to take me about 40 hours to put it all together. And hopefully I'll have it done before May 20th. If not, it will certainly be done during the 4 weeks of that course. And all of the students of Podcasting A to Z for the May 20th class will get access to it. And for those of you who want to get that individually, it will be made available for individual purchase probably after the course is over. Anyway, let's see here. Podcast Mastermind. If you haven't gone to podcastmastermind.com, I encourage you to do so. I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more in detail in episode number 307 next week, which, by the way, is going to be pre-recorded today and released next week. I'll be in Orlando, Florida. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why Podcast Mastermind is now my number one business priority, and why I encourage you to sign up. Of course, if you're already interested, just want to learn a little bit more about it, head over to podcastmastermind.com. Podcastmastermind.com, and get all the details there. Everything you want to know about it, plus the application at the bottom of the page. Anyway, I encourage you all to take everything that you're doing to the next level. And thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Podcast Answer Man.